Hello everybody, I'm Shako. We're going to be talking about Regis today, how to use Ancient Wisdom, how to use Area 0, and what strategies you should use to play it optimally. Why should you play it? Regis is a really fun deck, and it takes a lot of skill to play it. There are a lot of really good lines that you can take to win the game, and it's just extremely versatile. With rotation, a lot of the good cards that Regis used to use, such as the old attackers, just didn't exist anymore, and that those made Regis good specifically. So some of its strongest soldiers kind of just left the deck because it wasn't good anymore. But it gets a lot better in Searching Sparks, and right now we do have the tools to keep playing it in Stellar Crown. So why not just have fun and practice? So this is the list. It's pretty optimal. There's not a lot I would change here, except for maybe a couple of techs if you're facing certain kinds of matchups. Overall, it is pretty optimal, and I think the Carmine research way is the best way, as you're discarding all of your stuff, and Secret Box is a really good ace spec as well. The attackers, Regirock hits a lot of relevant 2 prizes for weakness, like Pheasantipity, Blood Moon Ursaluna, Terrapagos, just to name a few. Good random 1 prize attacker, just push it up there, start attacking. Registeel, punish your opponents for benching Squawkabilly EX, Lumion EV, or Mew EX. Hits ice types for weakness, bye bye C-Pow essentially. Can 2-hit Radiant Greninja EX and Regidrago ASR EX, as they both have 1 retreat cost. The big thing here is that you're getting the liabilities. They're pretty cool. So yeah. Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX. Cornerstone Mask can Waluigi, Charizard, and Regidrago, so these are really good matchups that you can take into because of your specific Cornerstone. And it has Shred to use against Noivern for an EX, so there are like certain ways Control can maybe win, but Walling is not an option because Noivern EX is getting attacked by Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon, and it's kind of over for them. And it's just a good situational attacker overall, because you have Shred, you have Wall sometimes. You can take advantage of those whenever you want to. Radiant Greninja, you are using it in the beginning of almost every single matchup. Like, almost no matter what, except unless it's a beast stick, you are always using this. Make sure don't bench it early, because you don't want to just bench lock yourself, and then your opponent puts down a mana feat, and then your game plan is almost completely ruined because you're bench locked. It's really good draw support as well, just to keep up the consistency, and it sets up damage for future knockouts. And a really good combo I like to do sometimes is set up Pheasantipity with Radiant Greninja, and then Regieleki for the knockout on Pheasantipity, which is a really good attack. And by the way, you're using Regieleki's second attack, where you're discarding 2 lightning energies and then doing 120 to one of your opponent's benched. You also have Iron Hands EX. This is in case your opponent benches Manaphy. You can still go 2-2-2, and you can finish the game as well if your opponent is stalling with 1 prize Pokemon, which is common in some of the matchups where they can pick up their 2 prizers and then just try it out of a board state where they can win on the next turn if you don't take 2 prizes. Iron Hands is really good against that, and you're also putting a lot of pressure on your opponent. Roaring Wind EX is used in almost every single matchup because everybody's using tankier things to move the games. It's a good mid to late game attacker. Don't normally use it in the early game unless you're going for a donk or something. Always Frenzied Gouging. You never want to discard your own stadium because that's putting yourself in danger. And try to get your opponent to have no attackers on board, and what I mean by that is that you're normally trying to KO your opponent's backup attackers and then using Roaring Wind EX so they can't return KO you and just keep going, but it doesn't really matter if they can keep recycling their attackers in the first place. Charizard. Immediately right off the bat, you're trying to take 2 prizes. Radiant Greninja gives you more control over the game, but Iron Hands EX works too. You should get rid of your backup Charmanders, or the backup Charmanders, but it doesn't really matter that much if you can just take your prizes quick and early. KO their lone Charizard preferably with Roaring Moon EX, because you might get to a board set where they can't recover as fast as they need to and just win the game from there. If you need to solid, just use Ogerpon and take out baby Pokemon, including Manaphy, so you can have more control over the board with Radiant Greninja and stuff. Next up, Lugia V-Star. Goal is to Cornerstone Wall. If you can't Cornerstone Wall, you still have other ways to win. But right off the bat, you're sniping their Chino/Chino. It's good because you already have the tools for it and they don't run Manaphy. You're taking 2 prizes off of your bench because it's really easy for Lugia because they play high boss counts to just win off a boss, and you are trying to get the first hit on your opponent's Pokemon that don't have abilities, and you could run a Fire Energy to KO with Archeops Ops, with Regidrago, or a Vitality Band to KO the Archeops with Ogerpon, because remember, it is Shred, so it doesn't hit for Archeops resistance. Next up, we have Raging Bolt with Ogerpon. You do go for the single prize route in the beginning because they can just gust really easily and try to KO all of your 2 prizes. That's not good for you, so you're just gonna try to push out those single prizes, which is like no area 0, just have all the Regis on the board, like attach with Ancient Wisdom every turn, just try to just hit it every single turn. Gust and KO the liabilities like Squawkabilly and Lumineon with Registeel and KO Pheasantipity with Regirock for weakness. It's a really good strategy, just trust me on this. If you have the Gust and you're available to do it, just hit them with it. You can add a Fire Energy to attack with Regidrago, as it is a good attack in this matchup. If you are able to be ahead in the prize trade, start going ham with Roaring Moon EX. I cannot emphasize this enough. You have to be ahead. You have to stay ahead against these beat stick decks, or else they will just run you over. Then we have Regidrago V-Star. Just attack with Ogerpon in the beginning, because like they have to find the canceling clone to hit you, and depending on what attack they use, they might not even knock you out. Roaring Moon EX is really good because they're not gonna have that many Dragos at the beginning. Just in the game in general, they're gonna have like 2. So if you were able to knock out one with Ogerpon and then Roaring Moon another V-Star, they probably won't be able to recover. Boss scale liabilities: Mew, Squawkabilly, Registeel, and Boss KO Fez with Regirock. Very easy lines. And in some settings, you can attack with Regis to stop their Vs from attacking, which is right here. Regidrago V-Star is a V, so you can stop it from attacking, and it's a pretty good matchup. Tropo's Dusknoir. So early game, you're gonna want to be attacking with Greninja. If they play Manaphy and there's a small Pokemon like Rotom, use Iron Hands. So the thing is, with Greninja, there is a little bit of strategy. You're going to want to KO their Hoots because that is their main source of getting their trainers to set up their board. You're going to want to KO their Hoots and then target something else, because then you have the control of the game where they just can't play anything. And you just have to keep the pressure. KO Pheasantipity EX easily, and Regirock takes this matchup like so far because you can just Oko Terapagos and you're swinging with a 1 prizer. Yeah, and it's just a good matchup. Palkia Dusknoir. Honestly, like a little bit unfavored, but you have routes to success. You're taking out Duskulls and Froakies with Radiant Greninja or Iron Hands. You shouldn't be targeting anything else unless they don't bench anything else. If they're playing Palkia Noctowl, the main plan is that you are going to KO the Hoot, except besides anything else, like even if they have something else, because then they can't have their cards that they need, the trainer cards that they need. Iron Hands does hit for weakness. It is a pretty good attacker with Arm Press, and you can take out liabilities with Registeel and Regirock. Lost Zone box. Be aware of all the stadium bumps. Like, the stadium bumps are really scary because you're trying to use Area 0 a bit more in this matchup. That's why you have to finish the game as fast as possible. And just early game Greninja or early game Iron Hands, attack with Iron Hands again. They're gonna respond with Blood Moon Barcelona, so Regirock is game. Just go as quick as possible. You know, that's about it. Next up we have Snorlax. It's an interesting matchup. Have your Regieleki in play so you can electromagnetic sonar and benchlock yourself with only one Regigigas Pokemon. There's a reason for this, and the reason for this is because Boss is really strong against Snorlax style if they have like Rotom on their bench. So Boss, attach, retreat, and then just keep electromagnetic sonaring. Tekken Chiyu EX if you want to win, and just attack with Jealously Singe to win, because they can't really do much if you're able to Pidgeot EX or Pidgeot V. Loot Boss's orders if they have something else on the board, and Switch Cart. That is really important in this matchup, obviously, because you need to switch against block. Otherwise, you kind of just lose and you aren't able to do much else. Make sure to use Super Rod so you don't deck out. And some Snorlaxes do play Chiyu, so you might have to be a bit more aggressive with that Super Rod. And you should be scared of Airy. Just don't take prize cards and you should be fine, because then you're not letting them have Counter Catcher as a win condition. So now we have honorable mentions. Pidgeot control. Play it like you do Stall, but you don't have to bench lock yourself. And you can also Radiant Greninja snipe their Pidgeys off the board, because they're going to try to tunnel vision Pidgeot EX. Otherwise their deck doesn't really work with just pure Rotom V. And even if they try to make it work, you can just KO Rotom V with like Regirock. Dragon Ball DX, same strategy as against Charizard EX. You can 2-hit KO it with Registeel, as I mentioned earlier. So yeah. Gardevoir EX is a very scary matchup. Klefki is horrible, right? You just can't use your basic abilities, so I do recommend going first. You normally are going first anyways, but I do recommend just trying to set up your board as fast as you can. That way you can also Ancient Wisdom on your first turn, maybe, if you get lucky, and then just have an attacker ready to go. And remember, they can also Scream Tail your Ogerpon and your Squawkabilly off the board, which is really scary. And theoretically it can be winnable. Like, it's not just loss at sight, but you know. We also have Banette EX. Desnor or Gardevoir, doesn't matter. It's a hard matchup for sure because you rely on your items a lot. Just set up as fast as you can. Again, try to get that board state where you can just have Radiant Greninja in the active, attach 3 with Ancient Wisdom, and then just pass, so you're threatening anyways, just in case they hit item lock. Yeah, Iron Thorns, this is a free matchup. There's nothing to worry about. Lost City is a little scary, but you have other attackers to win you the game. Make sure they don't Lost City like 2 copies of one of your Regis or one of the Regis you play one of. Roaring Wind EX, very close to the Raging Ball matchup. Just don't give up like free 2 prizers, which is very scary. And also remember that they can discard your stadium every turn. Pretty scary. Now we have tech cards with Chiyu EX. Does a lot in control, into control. You can be mean. A lot of decks get close to decking out, which like is kind of an excuse, but you don't normally want to be using it that much in a matchup. But if you're playing against a deck that kind of mills itself, you can just use Chiyu EX to win the game, and your opponent wouldn't know about it. Fire Energy, you get to use Regidrago, get to play Chiyu when Temple Incident is in play. Honestly, kind of fire. So, you know. Vitality Band, do 152 KO Arceus with Ogerpon, KO Terapagos, if they pull Buffalon with Regirock. Other viable A-specs. Legacy Energy, really good for swinging the prize trade. You can be giving them 2 prizes and just say you're taking 1 prize, GG's I guess, and you can put out Roaring Moon EX, for example. It's like it feels really bad knocking out like Roaring Moon that has 30 HP left and taking 1 prize anyways. You can reuse it with Ancient Wisdom and it counts as your second Luminous Energy. So yeah. Prime Catcher, really easy gust. Good to bring up liabilities because that isn't always your game plan, but it's a pretty good like win condition. It is an extra switch as well, and it is technically reusable with Electromagnetic Sonar, so you can Regieleki for your Prime Catcher back. Tips and tricks. Do not bench like yourself. Remember, you need all of the Regis, and that's 6 Regis. And because you have Area 0 in play, you have 3 extra bench slots, including the active. So that will normally be like Squawkabilly, Cornerstone, and an attacker that is suitable for the beginning or like just the matchup in general. You have to have your Terra Pokemon on the bench before Area 0 is down for it to activate. This is a mistake that I might see someone play when they're playing Regis. Just don't do it. It shouldn't be that hard to avoid it anyways because you can just like search for it and bench it. Just don't do that. It's really bad. Stadium bumps are not the end. Like some smartasses will try to bump all of your stadiums and all of your Area 0 because they think that's your only game planned. They can use like attacks from Blustery Wind, Tempest Dive, or Calamity Storm, but you can just recover with like Draw and Recovery and just Electromagnetic Sonar because it's really good. Or you could just start attacking with just the normal Regis because that is always an option anyways. Just remember that you have that Regi route. Also sequence properly. Send out cards and one of Regis before you have to draw to have better odds. It's just normal. But like if you're trying to bench things and you don't know what to bench your one of support Pokemon like Squawkabilly and bench your one of Regis because that just counts as better thinning and you have good odds of running into your 2 of Regis. Make sure you know what Pokemon you want to bench, including Ogerpon EX before Area 0 because that is sometimes a hard thing to do. Try to draw into Pokemon before you search for them. Obviously, you just have better chances to draw into Pokemon before you search for them. And bench Squawkabilly EX on the first turn before you use Carmine or Research to make sure you have an out to a better hand. Okay, well that was it for the Regis Masterclass. Hope you enjoyed and hope you use this. You can find me on Twitter and DM me if you have any questions, which you probably will have, but just make sure you know that you're learning from someone who's extremely experienced with Regis in this format.